Welcome to Paradigm Playbook, the podcast on the business of sports. With 50 plus years of experience, Steve Cook shares insights weekly, featuring top playmakers shaping the industry. Get ready to script your next play. Now, here's your host.
Hello and welcome to Paradigm Playbook. I'm the host, Steve Cook, along with Tyler Wetzel from Ninja Zone and NinjaCon and all things ninja. So Tyler, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me, Steve. This is exciting.
So Tyler's the director of the Ninja Zone at Wright's Gymnastics and Ninja Zone, and intrigued me in how well they've developed the ninja business. Who thought ninja was ever going to be a business, but it is, and it's a good one. Tyler, why don't you introduce yourself? How do you like to be introduced? You tell your own story.
Yeah, I do a lot of things, but again, I'm Tyler Wetzel. I'm the customer success director at Ninja Zone. So I have the opportunity to work with coaches, directors, and business owners of all different shapes and sizes to bring strong ninja programs to their businesses. And I also own a gymnastics gym here in Chillicothe, Illinois called Hop, Skip, and Flip. So I stay busy all the time.
Wow, that's exciting. Just curious, Ninja Zone is a licensed program or a franchise? What are you?
Yeah, so it's a licensed program. So Casey Wright, the CEO, started it around 2013 as a marketing way to get boys back into the gymnastics gym. And it worked so well in her gyms that we started to license it out to other businesses. It's a featured program that other businesses run inside their four walls.
Okay, cool. And how many people are doing this now?
We have around 300 clubs worldwide. So primarily in
Wow.
North America, but we're growing in China, we're growing in South Africa, we're breaking through in Europe. So it's starting to become a global movement, which is incredible.
So everybody's looking for the next thing in terms of how to develop. We have a lot of listeners that are gymnastic club owners and that they've had added preschool programs or they add a dance program or whatever. So what was it about Ninja that made it all of a sudden kind of take off?
I think the big thing about Ninja is starting in the 2010s and the 2020s, as of course American Ninja Warrior blew up in popularity, but taking that popular movement of American Ninja Warrior and combining it with gymnastics, where I think gymnastics is one of the only sports that's accessible to kids of all ages and all abilities. And so how can we take that and merge it together into a way that brings kids, whether they're traditional athletes in ball sports, if you will, football and soccer, or kids that maybe need some non-traditional offerings. And so that's kind of the inspiration to bring Ninja into these businesses.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my mind, is it more of a creative mindset than a disciplined mindset, or is it both or neither, or am I way off?
I think it's a bit of both. In our own curriculum, we do what we call the four worlds, and it's what inspires our curriculum and inspires our mindset. And so it's just pieces of gymnastics and parkour and martial arts tricking and Ninja Warrior, and it just combines all of those mindsets together into one program.
You mentioned that part of this was an endeavor to get boys back into the gym. And as an ex-male gymnast and very leaning towards boys in gymnastics, I'm glad that we're doing things to get them back in the gym. Hopefully some of them will convert and become gymnasts too. But what's the attraction to boys that's different than gymnastics?
In my opinion, I think there's one, how the parents perceive the program, right? And so these sports have connotations to them, whether positive or negative, just from what they see on social media, on the web, before they even step foot in the gym, right? And so I think as we have seen with gymnastics, especially when it comes to the collegiate level in men's gymnastics specifically, it's starting to go away because it's just not as popular as a football or a baseball or traditional men's sports, if you will. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is how parents are perceiving these programs in our marketing efforts before they even get an opportunity to learn what it even consists of.
Is there a need for you to oversell the safety of what you're doing? Are parents afraid of injury with Ninja?
I wouldn't say they're afraid of injury. And I think with, just like in gymnastics, I think there's always risks to a sport like this. But I think when you take the approach of gymnastics or of a program like this, where you're building it not around the skills, but you're building it around foundational movement and brain and body development, and you're working backwards from the goal of how do we just build better kids and not better athletes, right? How do we focus on kids with improved confidence or better balance, or we're seeing more coordination, especially as we move into a world where kids and movement isn't really a focus in school anymore. And so I
No.
think when you work backwards from how do we build better kids in our communities and not just the skills themselves, I think we are already starting off on the right foot in our efforts.
Yeah, I remember talking to parents that have been watching men's gymnastics. And if you watch men's collegiate gymnastics, you almost have this surreal feeling that, wow, what they're doing is really impossible. It's like, it's not the gymnastics I did 50 years ago. It's a different sport now. And you see someone doing a double back flip or a double twist or something like that. And it's not like watching a baseball player where the average child says, oh, I can do that. So I think maybe with American Ninja Warrior, and I don't know this, I'm just guessing that maybe the kids look at it, that's similar to the jungle gym or the playground. So I can do that. So maybe I can run up a warp wall, or maybe I can do a lache, or whatever the skill is. That I don't know. Maybe it's more approachable. I don't know.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And I think it's easier for both the kids, the athletes, and the parents to see the path to progression, right? When you see the way that they're moving, doing laches and moving from obstacle to obstacle on a big rig on a TV show versus doing the monkey bars at a jungle gym, you can see the parallels side by side. But when you look at men's gymnastics or gymnastics in general, Simone Biles, when you see these crazy flips in the
Yeah.
Olympics, where for a lot of parents, it's their only introduction to gymnastics. They don't see where backflips and twists start with a backward roll, right? They don't see how it just starts with getting our kids to be comfortable going upside down. I think it just comes down to how we educate our parents in that pathway to progression and leveling them up.
Do you teach, and maybe it's not you teaching, but your program teach ninja skills in progressions like they do in gymnastics? Does it work the same way or no?
Yes, absolutely. It starts with very fundamental movement and just slowly starting to build up all of those different pieces, right? So the same way that we do with a cartwheel, right? You have to start in your lunge, and then we work on the hand placement, and then we work on heel drive, and we land in our lunge, right? All of those little pieces you can break down the same way for skills from American Ninja Warrior and a lache, right? And fundamentally speaking, lache is just a forward moving dismount off the bar, but when you're able to pop your hips forward, you can move your body in a way that sets you up to grab the next obstacle. So just breaking down the different pieces of the skills, almost like a mathematical equation, right? And then building them back up again. And that's how you build not only the skills, but that's how you can identify different ways to build drills to practice in class as well.
If you let the kids run loose in your ninja gym, what's the most popular thing that they will go to?
Usually it's the tumble track if you let them loose.
So I think Ninja Zone's a little bit different than some other ninja gyms I've been into, that you have more tumbling and tricking, or a little bit more, it seems, than many of the other ninja programs, which are more, they seem to be more upper body concentrated. It's more about the different holds on the rigs or the climbing such. And I was there, I got to go to NinjaCon, was I there last year? Anyway, and watching the tricking, which is, as a gymnast, in my mind, the tricking is wrong, only because it doesn't look like traditional tumbling. They're flipping on a sideways axis. When you're growing up like I was, where it's either you rotate or you twist, you don't do anything in between. So is Ninja a good training ground for skateboarders and snowboarders?
I think it's a good training ground for anything that you want to do,
Okay.
especially those sports like skateboarding and snowboarding, because you do a lot of those twists along a similar axis, right? But I think it comes down again to a foundational level, even from gymnastics, right? We've seen kids that take gymnastics all the way at parent taught, have just started walking, or grow up to be better athletes because they're more coordinated and more balanced, right? So I think if we just introduce movement to kids at a young age and continue to reinforce it, and they learn how their body works, they learn that proprioception, they learn where they are in space, I think that will always set up kids for better success in the future.
Yeah, I've always thought that gymnastics was a foundational activity for everything, even for growing older. It's like I'm a racquetball player, and I remember claiming at one point I could dive for a ball, I could fall down more effortlessly because of gymnastics. So even if it's drop and roll, you can do it better if you've gone through some of these activities activities where you have to control your body. I'm thinking boys now, and I have a baseball academy. And one of the things I find with my younger boys is that they don't have the upper body strength that I remember kids at a young age having. And I blame it on, like, when I was a kid, we climbed trees and jumped over fences and did what we could. But maybe kids are doing less of that and more of computer skills or thumb exercises.
Exercise. I love it. I think you're correct. I also think it's been reinforced in schools as well, especially with the pandemic. A lot more over reliance on computers and screens, but also as schools go through budgets or whatever it may be, we're also seeing a decrease just in kids moving in general, right? When I was a kid, at least here in my community, we went to PE every day for an hour. And now the kids that are in my gymnastics classes, they're going 2 or 3 times a week for maybe 30 minutes. Things have changed a lot in such a short span of time in terms of how much time kids have been moving.
So I'm giving a talk at an upcoming convention on the problem in youth sports now is parents are spending more and more money and kids are quitting earlier and earlier. So we don't have as many kids participating. At Ninja Zone, you do have competitions, right? I assume, I don't know, that it's not the travel teams that are traveling miles and lots of hotel nights to compete in a sport that is expensive for parents and maybe fun for the kids, but not as productive as it could be.
Absolutely. So, 2 quick thoughts. First, we do have our own competition format, and we call it the Ninja Games. And in short, the kids have 2 courses and they score as many points as possible with the skills that they know from things like gymnastics, parkour, tricking, and warrior, right? And so they rack up points like a real life video game. And what's great is they get points for the skills they complete, but also skills that they attempt, right? It's not if they fall off the obstacle, they get a penalty, or even they're totally done with their run. The other thing, too, is that as Ninja grows, and again, Ninja is kind of a really big term for a lot of different things, right? You mentioned a lot of people listening to the podcast are kids activity owners, business owners, but Ninja could mean American Ninja Warrior. It can mean boys gymnastics. It can mean parkour and tricking, right? And so I think that as we've seen Ninja grow in popularity, at this point of where Ninja lives, I think we're seeing it almost grow into 2 different sports, right? You have obstacle ninja, which is American Ninja Warrior, is a big helm of that kind of sport where you do have that strong emphasis on upper body strength. It's a lot of equipment. You have the different obstacles and the way that the kids move and compete head to head. But then you have what you could call acro ninja, where you, of course, have some of that, but you're seeing a lot more of the flips, a lot of the gymnastics and parkour and tricking elements kind of introduced to that. And so they almost serve 2 different purposes and they kind of complement each other because, again, they're different sports that build different pieces of what kids need nowadays.
It's fascinating to me, the whole ninja thing, but I've got to swing back into what we spend a lot of time on the podcast talking about is on the business side of it. So is running a ninja program a profitable endeavor? When a gym adds ninja to their gym, are they going to make more money? I know that sounds greedy, but that's what we're in it for. So we have to kind of think about that.
Absolutely. And honestly, the program, unless it's a community service program, if it doesn't make money, we probably shouldn't add it. So it's absolutely profitable. We partner with a lot of different clubs, whether it's gymnastics clubs or community centers. It's absolutely a profitable program. And so our mantra here when we run our business is we do what we call looking through the 4 eyes. And so it's the eyes of the kids, it's the eyes of the parents, it's the eyes of the coaches, and it's the eyes of the business. And so if we are working on any project that doesn't fit or benefit one of those 4 parties, we just don't push it out at all. And of course, it's got to benefit the business. We got to continue increasing revenue, making profit so that we have the ability to expand and impact more of our own communities or expand to a different community, right? And so that's the name of the game, is being able to collect those resources so that we can continue doing what we do best as business owners.
Do they sign up for a class? Is that how it's done? They come every Tuesday at 4 o'clock or something like that?
Yeah, very similar to the gymnastics model.
Okay. Are they usually in there for an hour, or is it longer or shorter?
Yeah, about an hour. Okay. Maybe preschool could be 45 minutes. Every club runs it a little bit differently, but an hour is probably average.
We talked about the effort to bring boys back into the gym, but is it a co-ed activity or girls in
Absolutely.
it? Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, what's your ratio of boys to girls? Is it close or?
It's not super close, but again, at least what we're seeing in our own gyms, it's probably about 70-30. And again, that's coming off the top of my head. That's what I would guess the ratio would be. But just the sport of ninja itself, like when you hear the word ninja, it just speaks to boys. It's a boy thing.
I've noticed on American Ninja Warrior, there's a lot of ex-gymnasts that become ninjas. And you can always tell when you get one of the girls in there that's done gymnastics because the upper body strength of gymnasts is so superior to the average. I think they can catch on to it. But do you run boys and girls in the same class? Is there any reason they can't be in the same class?
Yeah, we run them in the same class. We do have a couple offshoots like girls only classes. But again, as I mentioned, we want everything to run as efficiently as possible because at the end of the day, it does have to make sense for the business, right? And so we don't want any businesses to be in a position where they have classes with waiting lists, but because they're running maybe a girls or a boys only class that has a bunch of spots in it, right? We want it to make sense.
Yeah.
So mostly co-ed, but if there's demand, we'll open up one for no specific reasons.
I often get into discussions, I won't say arguments, but I get into discussions of people telling me that the right teacher-student ratio in gymnastics is always 8-1. I question that sometimes because I think it's totally determined by the level of the kids, what the curriculum states, and the experience of the teachers. So I think you can do different. But is there a standard ratio of student to teacher in Ninja?
That's pretty close. 8-1 is what we recommend for school
It's
age,
always
and
8-1.
and 6-1 for preschool. But again, I could always see it increasing as coaches get more confident. But that would be our standard ratio as we take someone off the street to coach who's never done anything in this background before. Maybe they just like working with kids. So that's where we would start.
If I'm starting a ninja program, can I use, and let's say I'm coming from gymnastics, can I use gymnastic coaches to coach ninja? There's no big learning curve there.
There's always new things to learn, Steve. Like that's
Yeah.
the coaching way. When you've been coaching gymnastics for 10 years, there's always a harder skill to learn, right? And so I think gymnastics coaches are, if anything, the most experienced or the most qualified to coach ninja classes because they already have a strong understanding of how the body moves, right? We all know what a tuck is. We all know what arch and hollow is, right? And we just apply these to movements that are just a little bit different. And so that's another thing that we say all the time at Ninja Zone is in terms of our curriculum and the movements that nothing is wrong unless it is unsafe, right? It's just different. And so we just apply what we already know to a little bit different movements. And then they're going to probably pick it up quicker than someone with no experience at all.
So I agree with you. And I think we gymnastic coaches are extremely confident in our abilities.
Absolutely.
I made a career coaching baseball basically because I used body mechanic progressions that I learned in gymnastics. Two more questions. Is there a cutoff age?
Yeah, so our program goes all the way from 18 months when they just start walking all the way to the teens, right?
Okay.
Our bread and butter in our wheelhouse is probably between the ages of 3 to 8. That's where the majority of our students are in terms of age range. What we've seen happen is using the sport of ninja as an introduction. And again, the ultimate goal is helping kids build foundational movement, right? And then as they grow 10, 11, even into their teenage years, they'll naturally start to want to specialize in something. And that's why it works so well, right? They'll either want to go into the American Ninja Warrior side of things because they've developed that upper body strength. Maybe they want to go into a more rigid gymnastics program or even compete parkour or tricking. We kind of have it set up to where they get exposed to everything and get to learn and pick the best pieces of all those different sports. And then as they grow and have their own preferences and what they like, they can specialize however they want to when they grow up.
It's really exciting. Okay, get out your crystal ball for me. And what's down the road? We say we're always changing, we're always learning. So do you see a trend coming that we can give everyone a sneak preview on?
I think acro ninja competitions are next in line. I think we've seen Ninja Warrior obstacle competitions come in and explode. I mean, we're still riding the popularity of American Ninja Warrior exploding in the 2010s, right? But I think that we're seeing acro ninja where kids are rolling, vaulting, and flipping in addition to the obstacles start to explode, especially as kids who are younger and younger can actively participate in those competitions as well. That's what I think is down the line.
That's cool. Very cool. Okay, we are out of time. Before we go, NinjaCon is your conference. Is that only open to the licensees?
No, NinjaCon's open to anybody who wants to come. Again, we offer everything from coaching workshops to brand new day one coaches on fundamental movement all the way to the advanced coach who's teaching crazy laches and twists and flips. And we also do a lot of business owner workshops that really help you identify what you can work on leading into the new year.
Yeah, so from my perspective, I speak on the business side of things, and Tyler had me there last year. We were talking about strategy, business strategy. I think for me, the part of the fun was we got to talk business, and then I could go out in the gym and watch kind of competition, fun and games. It was an exciting 2 or 3 days, and they did everything from competitions to country line dancing, and it was a lot of fun. I'm sure you have more fun things planned for this year. When is the conference this year?
So it's November 6th through 8th. It's that weekend. The theme is Disco Inferno this year. So we're lining up for something really special. But I think what makes NinjaCon absolutely different from any other conference you go to is it's the most hands-on and impactful conference that you can go to, right? There's too many conferences out there where you learn a lot, of course, but you're looking at a lot of screens, you're listening to presentations. And so we keep it short, we keep it hands-on. We have kids in the gym with us and really giving coaches, directors, owners, hands-on, tangible things that they can take into their business as soon as they return home.
And at Wright's Gymnastics, they have meeting rooms, open space, gym space, ninja space. So there's a lot going on. Tyler,
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming on. This is a lot of fun. I can talk ninja forever. One of the most fun things that's come about in sports in a long time. If anyone wants to learn more about NinjaCon or Ninja Zone, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Shoot me an email, Tyler Wetzel at theninjazone.com, or reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram, and
You
we can
Google
chat.
Ninja Zone, you'll eventually find Tyler. So it's like,
Yeah, it's right there at the top.
Real good. Okay, with that, we're going to sign off and say thank you very much, Tyler. I really appreciate it. And everyone, make it a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to Paradigm Playbook. Explore more at ParadigmPlaybook.com. Want to be a playmaker? Contact StephenJCook.com. Share this episode to spread the word about sports industry opportunities. See you next week.